We're all friends. Thanks for showing up.
You get there, as far as you can see, and it's all like that. Yeah. Oh, and another one they talk about.
Long time no see, peeps.
No, on the side of the road. Keep going until you see the little road. Because that was where the
Life is filled with mysteries. We can ponder all of these, or we can get down to when we lay down all of our fear, we become a brand new paradise. We got love, joy, and peace. Anything else we release. We got love, joy, and peace. This is our gift to the world. We got love, joy, and peace. Everything else we release. We got love, joy, and peace. This is our gift to the world. We got love, joy, and peace. Anything else we release. We got love, joy, and peace. This is our gift to the world. We got love, joy, and peace. Anything else we release. We got love, joy, and peace. This is our gift to the world. We got love. We got joy, we got peace. Anything else we release. We got love, and leave alone. We got joy, we got peace. This is our gift to the world. We got love, joy, and peace. Anything else we release. We got love, joy, and peace. This is our gift to the world. We got love, joy, and peace. Anything else we release. We got love, joy, and peace. This is our gift to the world. This is our gift to the world. This is our gift to the world. Love, joy, and peace. Got some girl power up here today. I'm loving it. Welcome to Unity of Music City, a place of authentic transformation. This is what we do. It's who we are, and it's why we're all here. Thank you for bringing your uniqueness here. I can feel it. I love it. Oh, you guys are amazing. Happy, happy Sunday. We have got some amazing special music today by Bea Leff. Snow White, watch out, because we got a better lyric soprano up in here. Oh yeah. Today is the gift of change. Please do not forget to bring all your jingly jinglies up in here. Please. We also need paper towels. We're good on the toilet paper. We need some paper towels now. So please, please, please bring in your paper towels. Be on the lookout for a membership renewal email that went out this week. Please take the time to fill out the autofill form that's attached in the email because it's pertinent to keeping all of our records correct and up to date. If there is anybody who would prefer hard copies, there are some on the membership table right under the giant sign that says new member information. So these can be dropped in the offering bowl if that's how you prefer to do things. And speaking of new members, there is a new membership orientation after the service today. Yay! Awesome! Yay, new members! Yes, welcome, we love you! It's going to be awesome. It's very informative. I loved going through it myself. So if anybody would like to become a new member, today is the day to stay. Writers group will meet today at 12:30 in the Namaste Cafe.
No,
No?
sorry.
It's not happening today?
Upstairs.
Oh, it's upstairs. Okay. Writers group is meeting at 12:30 today upstairs. Okay? Correction. You can sign up for the Dodson Chapel Food Pantry on March 14th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. There is a sign-up sheet posted on the bulletin board. Carolyn? Coming to you, Mike.
All right. Good morning, beautiful people.
Good morning.
And please join me, whether this is your first time here or you've been here umpteen years like me. So, in affirming our vision and mission statement. And so our vision, join me please, to remember the universal presence alive in each of us. And our mission, we create experiences for expanding consciousness and awakening infinite possibilities. Woo! Thank you very much, Carolyn. So would y'all like to sing before I gab at you some more? Come on now, let's do it. Imagine that love is all around. See it, feel it, be love. Imagine that love is all that is found. See it, feel it, be love. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that love is all around. See it, feel it, be love. Imagine that joy is all around. See it, feel it, be joy. Imagine that joy is all that is found. See it, feel it, be joy. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that joy is all around. See it, feel it, be joy. Imagine that peace is all around. See it, feel it, be peace. Imagine that peace is all that is found. See it, feel it, be peace. When we become what we're longing for, we are knocking on heaven's door. Imagine that peace is all around. See it, feel it, be peace. See it, feel it, be joy. See it, feel it, be love. Y'all sound good. Lunch Bunch is, oh, thank you. Lunch Bunch is meeting at midday on Wednesdays. They are discussing The Art of Abundance, 10 Rules for a Prosperous Life by Dennis Merritt Jones. And bring your own lunch, please. On Wednesday evenings, we have meditations. And Reverend Denise was just telling us how important that is yesterday at the amazing leadership workshop that we did. So please come heal the world and meditate from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Wednesdays. This is through the Healing Arts Ministries. There is it's based on the Myrtle Fillmore's affirmative meditations. There is a love offering of $10. Doors open at 6:45 and they close at 7:10 so they can begin the session without interruption. Coming up next month, mark your calendars. I want to see those iPhones, etc. come out. Friday on March 13th and Saturday, March 14th. Mark your calendars for Pranic Healing with Kim Fantini. Tap into this life force energy to live energized. Friday's workshop is from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you can see Deborah Champion for some more information. And also there's a flyer on the bulletin board as well. B?
Good morning. Indeed, you are beautiful people. There is a sacredness that infuses my life. Today, I begin to realize that my own growth and creativity is my work. And so I affirm, I am the canvas, I am the artist, I am the paint. Together, I am the canvas, I am the artist, I am the paint. There is a part of me that is rooted firmly within the earth. It is to the grounded, solid me that I deeply bow. For without that part of me experiencing all that is, there could be no expansion, no life-giving nourishment. This earth is my home for this incarnation, and for that I am deeply blessed. There is also a part of me that is elevated above all I can see. That lives at a much higher vibration. And in this now moment, that life force cries out to know itself, apart from what I can see and hear and feel in this moment. It calls me to experience all that I am, which is full freedom to create, to paint my picture on the canvas of life. In that way, I gain the wisdom of my own connectedness with all that is. For I am the one, and I am the many. And so today, I bring my creative talents to this moment. I have come to grow. I have come to create. I have come to know the perfection of this unfinished masterpiece that I call my life. I ask to be made more clearly aware of the plan so that I might be the channel for the fullest expression of me that I can be.
And so before we start the meditation, you may notice that the sanctuary is different. It was set up this way for the leadership training yesterday, and those of you that were not here missed an amazing day because we talked about what change brings and what you have to do to be a leader during change. And so this morning, before we actually go into the silence, we are going to call in the 7 directions. Some of you have done that before and some of you have not, but I'm going to ask that you stand. And we're going to start by facing the east, which is that direction. And there's an altar right over there. Great Spirit of the East, the place of the rising sun, who counts the years of our lives and the opportunities of each day, strengthen us that we may not neglect our gifts, nor the hopes of each day and the hopes of each year. A hope. We're going to turn towards the south, which is right up here at the stage. Great Spirit of the South, whose warm breath of compassion melts the ice that gathers round our hearts, whose fragrance speaks of warm days, kindle our love into growth of true and living realities. Teach us that who is really strong is also kind, is also wise, tempers justice with mercy, courage with compassion, a hope. Turn towards the west. Great Spirit of the West, the land of the setting sun, with your soaring mountains and free, wide, rolling prairies, bless us with the knowledge of peace, which follows effort of striving, and the freedom which emits like a flowing robe in the winds of a well-lived life. Teach us that the end is better than the beginning, and that the setting sun is glorious and our lives are not lived in vain. A hope. Turn towards the north. Great Spirit of the North, who brings wisdom with age and time, bringing the waters of the air, who covers the earth with a sparkling crystal above whose deep tranquility every soul is beautiful. Temper us with strength to withstand the biting blizzards, yet make us thankful for the beauty which follows. and lies deep over the warm earth in its wake. Aho. And turn towards the center of the room. And the first thing we're going to do is acknowledge Grandfather, Father Sky. Great Spirit of the heavens, in the days of infinite light and amid the countless stars of the night, remind us that you are vast, that you are beautiful and majestic beyond all of our knowing, but also that you are no further from us than the tilting upwards of our heads and the raising of our eyes. Aho. And we're going to acknowledge Mother Earth, which is right up underneath your feet. And those of you that have done shaman work know that we get down and kiss the ground, so whatever works for everybody. Great Spirit of Mother Earth beneath our feet. Our master of metals, germinator of seeds, and the storer of the earth's resources. Help us to give thanks always for your blessings and your bounties. Aho. And then I'm going to ask that you sit and put your hand on your heart and reset your breath and go within. Great Spirit of our souls within, burning in our heart's desire and our innermost aspirations, speak to us now. Speak to us always so that we may be aware of our own goodness of spirit, so that we may be aware of the love that is us, so that we may be aware of this gift of breath and life, and so that we may remember that life is a priceless gift. So as I focus on my breath, I know that this breath infuses my entire body. All of the cells, all of the organs. It flows in and through me. And for that, I am so grateful. And there is a part of me rooted in all 7 directions. And in this now moment, I become so aware that my life is a canvas. And I am the artist. And I am the painter. And so may I be made more clearly aware of the plan, so that I might be a channel for the fullest expression of me that I can be. As I focus again on my breath, I go into the silence. In the silence. again focus on my breath, feeling and understanding the sacredness of it in this moment. And knowing that I am the canvas. I am the artist. I am the paint. May I be guided by oneness, by love. May I begin to understand myself better as an expression of the divine. May I become to understand that my life's work is this masterpiece. May I be still and know that I am love.
Please welcome Bea Leff.
So we're talking about discovering, awakening, using the God within. And sometimes, in order to do that, we have to experience God in this world. We are, after all, here in bodies with senses. And so, when we experience God out there, it helps us to recognize our oneness. And so, of course, our dear Judy, the Black Welder, wrote several songs about that. One of them was called The Face of God, which Pat did so beautifully several weeks ago. And this is, to me, a companion piece to that. It's called simply, God Is. hear God in the laughter of an old friend. I hear God in music old and new. I hear God when we sing together. I hear God when I talk to you. I hear God. I feel God. I see God in you. I feel God in the warmth of the sunshine. I feel God when I'm happy, when I'm blue. I feel God in the soft fur of a puppy. I feel God when I'm hugging you. I hear God. I feel God. I see God in you. I see God in the snowflakes on my window. I see God in the early morning dew. I see God in the raging of a river. I see God when I look at you. I hear God. I feel God. I see God in you. I hear God. I feel God. I see God in you.
So, yes, I'm going to make you talk to each other. And the first thing I'm going to make you talk about is how you feel about change. We left the sanctuary set up like this because we knew people would go, ooh, where am I going to sit? If you've been around me for the last 20 years, you know that this is not unusual for me. I might turn everything upside down and rearrange it. But I want you to have a conversation with somebody close to you about what change feels like to you. Do you like it? Do you not like it? How do you go through it? Go. ask you to push the pause button, and I'm going to ask you to add a little bit to that conversation. What does being love have to do with change? Go. So, do you think that if we know that we're loved, change is easier? Do you think that if we know that we're all one and we're all living in a universe that is expanding all the time, which is about change every day, that if we buy into the beliefs that we say we believe, then we don't freak out as much about change because it's just part of life? How many of you have looked in the mirror lately and know that you don't look like what you looked like when you were 20 years old? I didn't say do you like it or love it. I just said you know that you don't. Right? Or when you get up out of the bed in the morning, you're like, is that? So our human bodies remind us quite frequently that things change and evolve. And if we don't like change, we're going to struggle. I've said that for years. Bea was actually a mouse in a play one time. She was. Because I did a whole series on Who Moved My Cheese, which is a great book about change. And we did that years ago when the minister that was here left and I came in. And it was like, Urgh. So one of the things I will tell you that happened yesterday that was magical, and if you chose to not be here, you probably had a reason, and I'm sorry that you weren't, because there were deep, deep conversations between everybody that was here. That's what needs to happen here all the time right now.
Yes.
You need to be here and be in the conversations so that you hear each other talk. Because if you don't know what somebody said, if I don't know what Tom thinks, and then I hear somebody said, Tom said something, but if I hear it from him and I'm sitting beside him or across the circle from him, it's different. You understand? I even had one of our church leaders yesterday, I won't divulge who it was, that stopped me in the parking lot and said, we need to do more of this. We need to sit face to face and have conversations.
Yes.
It's because we're changing. You can blame Judy and I. And it happens everywhere we are. I said, if you think it's hard for a minister and a music minister to lead, be in a school when the principal changes. That's awful. People just get reared up. So why do we struggle so much with it?
Control.
Control, possibly. Possibly we like things the way they are. We like our seats being where they always are. You know, I pay attention. I'm a behavior analyst. I've paid attention to where everybody has sat today. It's like I know that some of you were too uncomfortable to come down here, so you plastered yourself back there somewhere. So you can look towards this, because that's what you're supposed to do in church, right? Look at the back of somebody else's head. And then analyze whether they combed their hair or not. Right? Yes. Another little piece I want to tell you this morning is while we were in our workshop, Crystal was creating amazing pictures. Some of them you're going to see up here this morning because they're behind some of the quotes that I have. And if any of them strike your fancy, she's going to have them for sale. And the money's going to go to the church, which is an awesome thing. So, just kind of look at what you see and go, ooh, this is pretty. God calls me to live not by what I perceive, but what He reveals. Now, how does that happen? How is something revealed to me and it's not all about what I think I see? Well, as you said a few minutes ago, if we don't ever stop and be still and go into the silence, we don't hear. On this journey, seeing is not believing. What is it?
Believing.
But we've been told all our lives that seeing is believing. Is that true?
No.
No, it's not. But when you start believing certain things, what you see is going to change.
Yeah.
You have to live this new thought life long enough to get that. And the only way I'm willing to do that is to be loved. We talked about hard things yesterday. What do you do when you don't like somebody? Do you love them anyway? Depends on who they might be. Depends on how close they are. Bless their hearts. What do you do? Is seeing believing or believing seeing? How many of you have ever loved somebody enough that they changed and then you really did love them?
Yes.
God works that way. When I worked for the School for the Blind, one of the administrators and one of the 4th grade teachers were married. Their names were Denza. They came from India. And I got very close to that family because I reminded the husband of one of his daughters. But the wife told me that when it was time for her to get married, her family gave her to him, and they never got to see each other till the wedding day. Of course, I was like, gross. You know, my mind was going off in 400 directions. And then you did what? Okay. And I said, well, did you love him? She said, I learned to love him. I said, well, that happens anyway, even if you've seen them. So, but that has stuck with me. All of these years, I learned to love him. So have a conversation with the person you were talking to just a minute ago about how you learn to love something. Good.
I can relate to my kids because they grew up with somebody who really, you were odd, but I kept loving them because I still so I didn't have a choice. Oh, very. When you look at, I feel, with eyes of love, sometimes I have to meditate, right? And then I have a different view of And they don't see that animosity offering. And they'll push buttons because they know they can whip me, right? Push the buttons and they don't get the reaction. And you want to take a Prozac or something? Deal. We know it's drug free. It's gross. This is
Like Connie.
stay in love. It's easier to do
So last week, we started with the first 3 sections of this, and we've added the affirmation that Bea taught us today. I want you to read it with me, and then I want us to pause, and we're going to read it again. I am remembering who I am. I am an expression of divine love. I am aligned with the vibrational frequency of abundance. I am the canvas. I am the artist. I am the paint. So I'm going to ask you before we repeat it again, how do you have an abundance of love? You have to create it. You can't go out there looking for it. Looking for love in all the places. Anybody else done that before? It starts right here. So read this with me again. I am remembering who I am. I am an expression of divine love. I am aligned with the vibrational frequency of abundance. I am the canvas. I am the artist. I am the paint. And so when I read that, I think about Deb Dinza's words, I learned to love him. That was her culture. It's what you did. Your parents and somebody else's parents said, this is what's going to happen, and you learned to love each other. And you didn't question it. Wow. Isn't that interesting? Louise Hay says, the thoughts we choose to think are the tools we use to paint the canvas of our lives. We went a little deeper than that yesterday in the leadership training, and we said it's about our beliefs, because our thoughts come from our beliefs. Whatever I believe is going to create the thoughts that I have in my mind. When I had the first conversation with Deb Dinza, and she said, I learned to love him, I was like, oh. Because I had already been divorced at that point in time. And I was like, ooh, could I have learned to love him? I don't know. Still got it. Everybody breathe. It's okay. Louise Hay also says that love of self and love of life connects us with what? The prosperity of the universe. Whoa. Hold on. What's she saying? That if I want to be prosperous and abundant, I've got to what?
Love
Oh. Huh. So might, I'm going to jump out there on a limb, might my issue, if I'm not prosperous and abundant, be love?
Yes.
It's tricky.
I will tell you, Louise Hay would say that.
Yes.
If you're having a lack issue, you need to love more.
Yes.
Self-love creates what? And allows us to be creative in deeply fulfilling ways. If I am creative and I have more ideas of how to create abundance and prosperity in my life, guess what? I'm going to love what I'm doing. Some of you suck the air out of the room. Which means that if I'm doing something I don't want to do, I need to be thinking of other ideas, because there are others. Now everybody breathe, because somebody's still just sphinctered up. Your cushion is going to suck up inside you in a minute. Love of self and love of life connects us with. Have a conversation with the person beside you about what that means to you.
So you just get the airplane ticket and say, hey, it's next Saturday.
Another friend of mine, that great at
But you don't wish them any ill wish.
And I like you, so she likes me to writing, you know.
So, don't affirm that. Be careful what you say out loud. I'm just saying, be careful. It doesn't matter who you're saying it about, just be careful. My consciousness determines how I will shape my life. I am responsible for the canvas and the paint of my own life. I'm responsible. I can't blame it on my mommy, on my daddy. I can. But you know, after a while, we get old enough that it ain't their fault. You know? At some point in time, I have to go, okay, this is me. And this is what I'm creating here. And so it's my consciousness or my beliefs determine how I will shape my own life. Would it not make sense, this is part of what we did yesterday, if my life is not like I want it to be, that I look at my beliefs and go, where do I need to scooch you a bit?
Yes.
But the problem is what?
Beliefs.
I still believe in what? Huh. Why? Why? Because I still believe seeing is believing.
Yes. Yes.
That's one of the things before this slide. Because I've been taught that that's true. And so if I truly believed that believing is seeing, then I would know I could shift the canvas and the paint and the masterpiece that I'm creating. How do I do that? That's a basic unity principle. Thoughts in mind, what?
Reproduce after.
And when I say something about lack of any kind, guess what? I create more of it. Do we get that? We think we do. Until words roll out of our mouths. We talked about that yesterday also. We say things and we don't even know where it came from. Maybe it was my mommy or my grandma or something, but all of a sudden it just rolls out of my mouth and I go, whoo, who says that? Obviously me. The story I told yesterday is I went into my 87-year-old parents' house and I said, "Hi, Dad, how are you?" And he said, "Better than I deserve." And I went, "Oh!" And of course he was looking at me like, "What?" I said, "Don't say that." He was like, "Why?" I said, "Where did you hear that?" "Oh, I don't know, probably Dave Ramsey." But who knows? And I said, "You worked for 38 years for AT&T and you deserve everything you've gotten. You've worked hard, bless you." And he kind of went, "I guess you're right." And there's an example of things that just come ripping out of our mouths and we don't even think about them. Thoughts in mind reproduce after their kind. If someone believes that they are doing better than they deserve, guess what's eventually going to happen? It's going to get worse. And worse. And worse. This comes right out of the art of abundance. The principle of universal abundance is composed of unformed energy or infinite potential. Can you understand that? When you're talking about abundance, you're talking about that there is an abundance of energy out there to create anything you want to create. You make the decision what it is. You can create a big pile of poo, or you can create a big pile of money. Either one. The universe doesn't care. Can you hear that? The universe is just there going, "Okay, here you go." All the ideas, all the everything is out here for you to pull upon. It's abundant right there for you. All you need to do is use it. And you go, "No, I don't deserve that." Or the universe doesn't like me. Or if the universe knew me, it probably wouldn't support me because I've been ugly. Or whatever it is that goes through our minds. Until you give form to it by means of what? Your consciousness. Not mine, not Kathy Benson's, not Bea Leff's. Your consciousness takes that abundant flow and puts it into form on the earth. Now talk to the person beside you about what you've heard.
we doing wrong? I mean, we're obviously doing something wrong, but this is a country.
You know?
I'm going to call on John Martin again to say something from the back,
There you go, John.
because he can speak loud. John, I want you to read this that's on the screen right now.
Okay. The very complexity of the crisis on our planet is a gift,
Oh!
forcing us out of our own ways of reacting and into the ways of responding. The new way says pay attention, trust and work with what is, rather than always trying to change it and print whatever you are experiencing into exclusion. Of your heart. Inclusion, excuse me. Oh boy, that was a inclusion of your heart.
A Freudian slip by a therapist, no doubt.
I'm here.
So I want you to continue your conversation. What did you just hear? What is happening is right and perfect, no matter what it is, and it's forcing us to be loved.
Yes.
Talk.
Here we go. Play it. What am I meant to see? What am I meant to say? What am I missing? Something in terms of
The giant feather, I like the giant feather. No, not that, not that. And by doing that, it's always stated in it. To me, it's always like, stop, breathe. There's a message. What am I missing? You do it wrong. I'm missing something. Right, I'm missing something.
So my next point comes from a book that I don't recommend anybody read unless they have a scientific mind or a psychological mind and are willing to read something that is not the easiest. But it's called Spiral Dynamics. It was created in the early 70s by a psychologist who was looking at developmental patterns and began to look at consciousness of people on the planet, and why certain people were poor and certain people were not, and certain people were experiencing different kinds of things, and he was trying to figure it all out. The way I've always done this, and I'm going to do this quickly, I will have individual conversations with people who want them in the future. I have taught this class numerous times over the last 20 years, is I've used these little Chinese dolls, Russian dolls, because each consciousness is embedded in the next and the next and the next and the next, because we all have some of all of it. Even when you go, no, I don't have any of that in me. So I'm going to explain it to you, because everybody wants to say I'm turquoise. Not all the time. If you were, you probably wouldn't be here anymore. Okay? This is beige. I want to also tell you that we see a lot of this on our planet, but it's because we focus on it. If we quit focusing on this, it would go away. Woo-hoo. Beige is basic survival instincts. I do what I do just to stay alive. That doesn't sound fun. But I know people like that. And if I look enough and have this belief system, guess what? I'm going to see a bunch of them. The reason it is like this is because I don't want us to focus on that a lot. I want us to focus on this up here. Thoughts and mind reproduce after their kind. The next one is purple. It's called the magical self. When I get tired of this long enough, I find some god, some ritual, some tribe that's going to help me feel better about myself. We have a lot of people come in the doors of this church like this and eventually get here and think if they say the affirmations enough and twirl around naked in the floor twice or 3 times, that something will shift.
Yeah.
Okay? This is magical consciousness. If I do it right, the gods will bless me. Well, Denise says this, so I'm going to say it. They don't even know what they're saying because they haven't changed their belief systems. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then when we get tired of doing all these rituals, and, you know, as I say in the Episcopal church, I went to an Episcopal funeral one time and I said, Lord mercy, you know, sit down, stand up, turn around, pick a bale of cotton. I was tired and it was over with. It was like turn to the back wall and open up the hymnal and sing this. Now turn to this wall and open up the prayer book and say this. And I was like, you all do this every Sunday? Lord, you should all be like this thin. But when I get tired of all the rituals, I get pissed. Red consciousness. And I start fighting. Have you seen any anger out in our world today? About that things aren't working anymore? Anger. Red. And so my whole belief system is, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, but it's not working and it's your fault. Try being a minister, it happens all the time. It's my fault that somebody's world is falling apart. Don't know how that is. Try being a governor. I'm just saying brief. Try being a council person. Try being the President of the United States, whether you like him or not. Okay? Just breathe. Everybody breathe. It's all okay. So then we come up with this, blue consciousness. This is the law and the rules. Policies and procedures. If I put enough of them in place, everybody will act nice. How many of you have sped or gone through a light or a stop sign in the last month? Just because we put them in place, do they always keep us in line?
No.
No. But we believe they will. I've gone through that so many times with this church. We need to write a new policy. I'm like, for who? The mice? And I'm not against policies and procedures. Because if somebody is really showing their behind, I can take them to a manual and go, it says on 2.20 that you cannot act like that anymore here. Goodbye. But I mean, really. Does the legal system, do the police system, the FBI, does all of that work all the time, 100%?
No.
No. We know it doesn't. So then people move to this. We have some of this in this church. Competition. I'm better than blah, blah, blah. I hear people say, we're better than First Church. No, we're not. At all. Go over there and see what they do. I'm the best Titan there is. I'm a Predators fan. I'm going to scream and holler and get drunk and be obscene because I want them to win. Beat up everybody else. Competition. It's made the world be what it is today. Banks compete against banks. Yes. Doctors compete against doctors. Restaurants compete against restaurants. Therapists compete against therapists. Isn't that right, John? Yeah, I mean, it just happens. Reiki masters compete against Reiki masters. Isn't that odd? They do. Singers compete against singers. Instrumentalists compete against instrumentalists. Who's the best? And then what? My God's bigger than your God? And God loves me best? And God loves us best because we are blah, blah, blah. You heard any of that recently? Basic Christianity. God is on our side. God's not on any side. I'm going to say this is going to freak some of you out. God doesn't care. Doesn't care what side. There's no side. God loves us all. So then when we get tired of all that, we have all of us Carolyn Bauer green people. Right, Carolyn? Yes. I'm about the earth, I'm about women, I'm about children, I'm about animals, I'm about anything that's going to be loving to everybody. Let's just, Judy Blackwelder, let's just all get together and love each other and get over our big bad selves.
Yes.
That's what all of her music is about.
Yes.
Green. But there's some people who don't like that either. So we still haven't dealt with how all of these people talk to each other. We've just evolved to the next level. But do you know what it's like being this person, talking to this person? Look out in the political world right now and see that. These people talking to these people? So then we move to this. Yellow and turquoise are called second-tier consciousness. That's people who can rise above everything that is and can facilitate conversations with people that are different than each other. That's not always easy. And a yellow person is looking for opportunities to set up conversations like that. Where can I have a peace circle? It's part of Becky and my thing. Where can we set up a peace circle so people can come together that don't necessarily believe the same thing and have conversations? Yellow people understand that everything I say and think and do and feel affects everybody else. Everybody else. So then what is turquoise? Turquoise is being a holistic practitioner. Turquoise sometimes is being a warrior. We talked about that yesterday. That doesn't mean fighting. That means I am standing firm in this belief, and I don't care if you are my mommy or my grandma or my long-lost cousin. This is what I believe. And I don't change it for you. I don't hide who I am from you. That's going to push some buttons. It's like I don't go into your house and try to be something that you need for me to be so that I can be here. Everybody breathe. Because the turquoise person experiences the wholeness of everything and loves it all. Loves it all. Loves it all. What does that look like in your life? You have to learn to paint with all the colors. You have to have had experiences with a beige person before you really understand it, instead of just looking at them and going, oh. You have to have had an experience with an angry red person. And I'm not talking about the color of their skin, I'm talking about their energy. Before you can begin to understand, I've been angry before. Can you read that? Because we all hear all this stuff. I know I've been doing this for over 20 years, and people are like, I can't do all that. You don't have to do it all today. You may have heard all this and went, I'm really orange a lot. That's okay. Be orange until it stops working for you. And then know that to shift that consciousness, all I need to do is think about something that is having struggles. Dogs, women, children, whatever. The earth. And put your energy there instead of trying to compete. Again, I'm going to step on some toes. There are some of you that only show up on Sunday morning that ain't going to get it. You're going to have to be involved in meditations here. You're going to have to be involved in conversations here to raise up to higher level consciousness together as a whole group of people, not as me splintered over here and you splintered over there. Because when we went through shifts and change years ago, one Sunday a month we had a conversation in a circle, whether people liked it or not. You're going to have to be in it or choose to not be in it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's the payoff. If I choose to be in it, I'm going to change my thinking because I'm going to hear my bestest buddy say something that I detest. And I'm going to go, oh, well, that must not be so horrible if it came out of her mouth or his mouth. Maybe I should think about that. Because what? I have the ability to what?
To observe, challenge, and change everything.
I have the ability. And the whole deal is I'm getting back to understanding that I am love and you are love and we're all love and it's all okay. Whether I want to sell this building and run screaming naked into the night or I don't. We're all okay. It doesn't matter. Everybody breathe. Becky has to read that last thing I just posted up there.
Transcending the pull of limiting thoughts is not a part-time job. It is a lifestyle choice.
I have to work on it every day. If I don't catch myself. And out of my mouth will come better than I deserve. Part of me thought I need to move in with my parents here for a week and just keep at it. Nah. But you know what I mean? It's like, if I don't keep at it, if it's not my lifestyle to be shifting my thoughts, and I'm not going to shift them at home by myself on my couch watching Blue Bloods. I'm not. I got to be with a group of people that are going to help me shift and go, you think what? Huh. Those of you that were here yesterday, we heard people think different things, didn't we?
Yes.
And it was amazing. It's like, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that. Maybe we do need to think about it like that. Terry Abbott, read that from back there.
Today I call upon my higher power to deliver me from the impossible to the possible, from darkness to light, and from fear to courage.
So whatever it is that you do to call on your higher power, you need to do it. And so we're going to do it this way before Bea sings us into a different way of thinking about this. Ready? I am remembering who I am. I am an expression of divine love. I am aligned with the vibrational frequency of abundance. I am the canvas. I am the artist. I am the paint. Namaste. Woo!
on a clear day, on that clear day, you can see forever and ever and
Y'all, one more time for Bea Leff. I told you, she's got to watch her back. That was a hard song. Holy moly. Good job, Bea. Would y'all please take your tithes and offerings and cooperative gifts and hold them to your hearts and join me in the prayer of abundance. I live in the midst of infinite abundance. I give freely and fearlessly to life, and life gives back to me. Don't forget it's Gift of Change this week. So come on up here with your jinglies, put them in the bucket, and your tithes and offerings can go right here. That affirmation's right there in this direction.
Well, I
in our minds, and we bless these tithes and offerings that have been given from that place that understands love. And in this now moment, I search my heart and my soul and my mind. Where is it in this world that I am needed? Where is my light needed today to be the presence and the expression of love? And I say yes, and so it is.
Deb, I'm so happy to have you with me. I really am. Wasn't it great to have Deb back there? And Pete killing it, and Sherry, and Judy, and everybody. Oh my gosh, the music, oh yes. Well, the music was just killer today. Thank you all very much, appreciate it. Everybody, can we please join together in the prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Thank God you're here, Pat.
I don't want you to try.